Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. I don't know about you, but I work on loads of different projects. Some of them are work projects, some are volunteers, and some they're personal projects. I love working on projects. I love finishing the project and getting that buzz from finishing it, from completing it. Now, I'm not going to cover in here what a project is. If you're interested in that, let me know because I can do a separate video on it. We all spend time and energy completing a project. We learn loads of new things. We cement some existing knowledge by getting to practice it. That project, it finishes. What do? Well, we jump straight into the next one. We miss out an important project step. And that's completely closing down that project and document what you've learned. Document what went right and what went wrong. Now, I don't know about you. I used to always skip this step. I used to think, well, that's a waste of time. I've delivered the project. I've delivered that deliverable. It's a big mistake. And to be honest, I didn't really realise it at the time. I thought I was being more productive by getting straight into the next one. The danger with this and what I was finding, maybe 2 or 3 projects down the line, I'd come up with a similar problem or something very similar to what I'd fixed in the one that's just finished. Because I'd never bothered documenting what I'd done, how I'd fixed it, I had to go and restart from scratch. I had to learn that knowledge again. I had to research that solution again. Now, yes, I did have a little bit better idea, so it was a little bit faster, but I was still having to repeat work that I'd already done. That's a waste of time. We don't want to be wasting time. That's the opposite of being productive. So I was fed up with it and I thought to myself, Gary, this has got to change. So I went and I adopted the idea of a Project PostMortem. You know, that's one of the things a lot of project management systems tell you you've got to do, and as we've just discussed, you don't. So now when I finish a project, what I do is I make sure that I've finished all the tasks that are associated with that project. I archive any files, I archive what I've learned to a place where I can get access to it again if I need so. I spend a few minutes and I record what I've learned, what I could do differently, what I can do to improve things going forward. And then the most important thing, and again, we all forget this, I give myself a reward for completing the project. So let's take a look at each of these in a little bit more detail. So the first one, making sure that I've finished all the tasks associated with the project. That sounds so obvious, isn't it? You know, you'd have thought we'd have already done that. But what I was finding is as I was going through the project, I was busy. Sometimes I forgot to tick off a task. Sometimes I thought, well, I can do that one later, so I'd leave it and I'd skip forward. Then previously where I'd not been doing this review, that task went undone. The whole idea of doing this is you're looking back at what was meant to have done. Identify things that weren't. Spend a couple of minutes looking at them. Make sure that they can either be ticked off as complete or their actions can then be progressed, and you can then again move now towards properly closing that project. It's good hygiene, isn't it, really, for your task list as well. It's getting off there things that have been done that are no longer needed. The more actions that you can take off your action or your task list, the smaller that list is, the easier it is to do things on it. The next step, archiving any files. Again, this is just something which seems so much common sense, but I would often not do. When I'm running a project, I generate a lot of files, and I do try and keep them all in 1 or 2 folders on my desktop. When I've finished with a project, I would just ignore them and my hard drive would fill up. This step is about taking those files, archiving them onto another drive, onto another server, onto a cloud drive, but it's got to be somewhere where you can get access to them fairly quickly if you need to, but for the whole, you don't need them on your day-to-day working machine. Now, sounds like I'm talking about electronic files. Paper files, I do the same. What I tend to do with a paper file is I scan it, so it then becomes electronic. Everything then is in one place. But if it's something that you can't scan, well, I have a box. On the front of that box is the name of the project. When it's done, what I do, I actually put it in my garage. That's my long-term storage. You may have a proper filing room, But again, get it away from your normal work area, but make sure it's somewhere you can get access to it if you need. Step 3 is about spending a few minutes and recording things that I've learned or things I can be doing differently. Again, I know I keep saying this. We often don't bother with this. It's a key step that we can get a lot of future value from, but we've got to start doing it. Now, as part of any project, you learn something. It might be minor, it might be major, but I find every single project is a learning opportunity. It could be that you've spent a little bit of time and you had to investigate an issue or a problem that was going on. You may have had to come up with some unique solutions. You've found things that this is the way you currently do it, but if you adapt it, that improves the process. If we don't spend time to record this, if we don't spend time to say not only what we've done, but why we do it, well, we end up losing that knowledge. We forget it. You remember, our brains aren't there for storing information. Our brains are there for processing information and moving it from one place to the other. Spend a few minutes, get those learnings down. And as I say, it is a few minutes. Most of my projects, I do this in under 10 minutes by recording it, by getting it into a knowledge management system or an action management system, just a way and a place that you can get access to those learnings again. It means they're not lost. For me, I capture everything into a personal knowledge management tool called Obsidian. I like Obsidian. It works on my Mac, it works on my phone, it works on my iPad. Now, this might not be for you. You may have a folder on your hard drive that you store these in. You may have another software tool. You may have a notepad that you actually physically write it in. Doesn't matter. What matters is you're collecting the information. Information that's not collected, as I've already said, it's lost. Once we've recorded that knowledge, we need to make sure we can easily search for it. With Obsidian, I can type in keywords and search on keywords. We need to make sure we can easily add to it and that we can easily update it. You've got to be able to update the knowledge that you've got, because as you evolve your knowledge in that area, things will change. So rather than having to rewrite everything from scratch, you just update what's already there. The final step, and as I say, I actually think this is really important and something we don't do. We need to reward ourselves. We are not rewarding ourselves for success. We are rewarding ourselves for completing the project. Big mindset change. Completion, not success. If you find that you're celebrating success all the time, what you do is you get yourself into that mindset that you can't fail. And then when things aren't going right, it's actually quite a demoralizing thing. But by focusing on completion, that allows you to move forward. Now, this reward, it doesn't have to be something big. For most of my projects, which are small, they're very quick, I might take a 10-minute break. Literally, go and have a coffee. For larger projects, well, I might get a bar of chocolate or a nice bottle of wine. For even larger projects, where you've spent weeks on it, well, I might get something more tangible for myself. That could be a new fountain pen or a new gadget for my office or for myself. The key is match the reward to the effort expended to complete that project. Use the reward to celebrate completion. Can't hammer this home enough. Reward completion, not success. So to summarize all this, it's important that we close projects in a controlled and planned manner, and that we record everything we've learned. This makes sure that we've done everything necessary for that project and to make sure that the learnings are available for future. The steps we should be taking: make sure you've finished all the tasks, archive your files, record things that you've learned or done differently, and celebrate a success. By doing this, you're setting yourself up for the future. You're enabling yourself to get the results you deserve. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Do you close down all your projects in this controlled manner? Do you have a different way of closing down your projects? Please drop a comment down below. I'd love to explore this with you more. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.